G'day subscribers. Today Louie and I are going to talk about switches and fuses. You're with Jules Knight on Jive Talking Garage. So g'day subscribers. I'm here with Supervisor Louie, the rust detector and shop supervisor. The apprentice is somewhere at the moment, I'm not quite sure. But people haven't seen Louie for a little while, so it's really important that he sort of gets out there amongst the subscribers so they can see that he's busy and he's doing lots of things as the apprentice walks in. So look, I thought it was important to acknowledge something that I think is happening at the moment. Now I'm just going to put Louie down for a second. Now, I noticed, look, I started in FJ Holden's in 1981 when I was a young guy, and there came a time when parts stopped being supplied and things started being phased out, and you could go into a dealership and go through and raid their spare parts, and they'd sell you stuff. And it was really good. But there came a time when things were not available. They became not available. And we didn't make a big hubbub about it then and buy everything up that we could. But I'm sort of noticing something about that now. And the reason I say that is I had to go into Repco at Beanley. And when I go to Repco at Beanley, they are very happy to give me trade for trade price, which is great. You've got to ask for Netty and just tell you from Jive Talking Garage, and you too will get trade. Now, some of the things that I wanted to buy, I went in and got, but I saw these glass fuses on their discount table. I got every one that was there. So there was 4 packets, because what I'm finding now in today's day and age, it's that type. That's what we are seeing. You buy a Commodore and you'll get that type, or a Hyundai or whatever is the case, and you'll get the small size or you get the large size, and I've got a smattering of all of them. However, with the FJ Holdens, you need the old style fuses. There's one of them in every light switch, and coincidentally, it's all the little telltale things. Sometimes a fuse will blow on you and you got to replace it. Other times light bulbs will blow on you, so you sort of need light bulbs as well. One of the telltale things for a blown light bulb, I think the overhead light doesn't work. I've had that happen to me before. The backlight didn't work, so the light above me didn't work. I think that's how it worked. But anyway, look, all I'm saying is I'm thinking that we are losing these old style parts, and I would suggest if folks can get their fingers on some, if you need these type of cylindrical fuses, the glass fuses, well then it's a case of they're so cheap, just grab them. I think I paid 40 cents a packet, 40 cents, 60 cents, something like that. It was really good. I bought everything that they had. There was only 4 there and I took the lot. But anyway, that's really important, because you need, if you've got fuse holders and whatever, as soon as you do an electrical installation of something for a component, it doesn't matter whether it's a fan or a radio or whatever, you've got to have fuses so you don't have a fire. So I was glad to grab those. But anyway, I'm not going to lecture about those. The other thing I saw was my kid had some wiring for lights and whatever else. And I remember going out with my Nissan Patrol and, getting this type of off-on switch for the spotlights and whatever else. And that's also what's becoming available now, so that, in today's day and age of plastic dashes and whatever is the case, rectangular holes in the dash, and you know, the wires come through and they connect it up to the switch here and the relays, and then you push it back in and it clicks into place because it's got collapsible lugs there and there for it to go into a, you know, punchy out hole in the dash. And then you've got your, you know, your off and on switch. So that's what we're getting now, but that's for modern stuff. If you've got older stuff, I've been squirreling away for years, old stuff, and really old stuff, but it's not a toggle switch, it's a push-pull switch, and it's, you know, things are knurled and they're easy to install, and it's a case of you know, allowing a circuit to actually flow. And I've been big at trying to, you know, buy these whenever I can see them, and putting them away. You know, I've got toggle switches in the FJ, and it's a case of, you know, they'll be packaged beautifully. The toggle switches are just, you know, on and off on the FJ, but I really like these smaller style push pulls. I know Mark Dennis in Perth buys them up, and he knows all the different styles and whatever, but I like that. Now, one of the other things that I did was, as things became available, I liked to buy them. Now, I actually bought this in a sealed can. Now, believe it or not, General Motors, Holden were very good at recycling. You know, you would buy a cardboard cylinder and it would have a metal top and a metal bottom, and it was all sealed, and they would be recycled out of steel beer cans or whatever, you know, and you'd find, well, this was in one of them. You'd find this type of part, you'd find universal joints, you'd find, what else? Suspension parts, pivot pins, the whole bit. You never knew what you would get, but it was all really well packaged up. Anyway, this type of switch, you know, you can see where the connections are at the back. This actually screws up underneath your dash. So if that's the bottom of your dash, you put this up to your dash and then you screw it down. Now, this has a rheostat in it because it's for heat. Very similar to your light switch. You know, you dim them or you brighten them, whatever is the case. And I realise my hands are reversed to what it is as far as action is concerned with your switch. But, you know, that's what this type of rheostat switch was doing. So there was that back in the day. And then there was the other style, the big push-pull, and these are a little bit unlubricated, and so they're, shall we say, a little bit difficult to use, but, you know, I really like those, and I thought, 2 green ones, how cool is that? I've got a green car. Never know, I might need them one day, but there's those. So that's the push-pull switch. And, you know, you could, because what I thought I'd do is I want to have cargo lighting in the back of the FJ panel wagon, and so I can either go for sedan boot lights, or the other thing that came across the mailbox the other day was from Scotty Too Hotty. So thank you, Scotty. This was a Holden part a little bit later, and they have the switches in them. I mean, you know, how cool is all of that? So from my perspective, it's a case I need something in each corner of the wagon so that I can illuminate the cargo area, but I don't obviously want it running all the time. So I want to be able to turn it off and turn it on. I was going to have one of those push-pull switches that would work for both of them, but in this case, these have lights for them. Now, I know back in the day Mustang had something similar when it came out in 1964. I think my GT has got them either side of the back from memory, and some of these underneath. But Scotty said, "Oh, I've got some General Motors lights that would be perfect. I'll send them up to you from Melbourne." So thank you, Scotty Too Hotty. As usual, you're a great cousin, and I appreciate your help. So that's what I've got lighting wise. So this week was really to talk about the situation with the fuses. So start buying fuses up, the glass fuses, because we don't want to get to the stage where, oh, sorry, mate, can't get them anymore. You'll have to do something, and then you've got to cut it out and put a new modern type in, and it's all different. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing was buying up your switches. I've shown you some stuff that was back in the era, some things here that were a little bit later, and also some, you know, items here that were available right now. So, you know, that's the sort of thing you get from Repco or wherever else, you know, good electrical stores and things like that. But today, fuses and lights. Not a bad little episode for Jive Talking Garage. Don't forget, share, like and subscribe, but more importantly, enjoy your Holden.